and welcome to this week's Book Wizards Book Club. We're in part 4, which means we are reading chapters 7 and 8 of our book. This month we are reading The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet, which is the first book in the Secrets of Droon series. When we left off last week, Eric and his friends had headed to evil Lord Spar's castle to try to rescue Princess Kia. So now we will start with chapter 7 and see if they can do it. Chapter 7, The Forbidden City. "Take leap at once," Galen told Eric and his friends as they stood outside the tower, "and take this invisible cloak. It may come in handy." "And take me," Max twittered. "I may come in handy too. Besides, I know the way to Plude." Galen smiled. "Good luck, my young friends, and remember what I am about to tell you. Droon is a secret to your world. When you return home, tell no one about us. Also, you must not take anything from Droon with you, nor leave anything from the upper world behind." "Why?" Eric asked. "For every object left here, a thing from Droon will appear in your world," the wizard replied. "And it may not be a good thing," Max added. Neil blinked. "You mean like a nin?" "Or worse," Galen said. "Now I must go to Jaffa City and you to Plude. Be careful." Then, without another word, zam! Galen Longbeard, first wizard of Droon, vanished. And his tower vanished with him. The shaggy Pilka whinnied. "Well, what are we waiting for?" said Eric. With the 3 children on her back and Max sitting on her head, Leap galloped out of the forest. She strode across open meadows while the pink sky darkened into late afternoon. It grew colder as the light faded. A shape moved across the sky above them. "Groggles?" said Julie. Neil looked up. "No," he said. "A falcon. A white one. I think I saw it before, too. I remember falcons from our trip to the zoo last year." Eric watched the bird soar away. "This one was in the forest when we first saw Spar." Leap whinnied sharply and slowed her gallop. "Hush now," Max whispered. "We are close." He pulled the reins, and the Pilka plodded up a low hill to a jagged ridge. The high black walls of a large city loomed before them. The sky was thick with clouds. The air smelled of smoke. "Let me guess," Neil said. "This is Plude." The 3 riders slid to the ground in a grove of trees. Max jumped down with Leap's cloak. "Don't forget this! Invisibility might be useful." "So would a magic key," Julie said. "Those walls are super high. How do we get in?" The ground began to rumble. "A car?" Eric whispered. "Yes, Spar's car. The gates will open for him. He's our way in." "Auga!" Spar's car roared loudly up the road. The Pilka reared, spooking at the sound. "Leap, wait!" Max shouted, but the animal broke away from him. He scurried down the hill after her. "Leap! Leap!" "Come back, Max," Julie said. "We need you." The car roared by. The gates of Plude opened. "We're losing our chance," Eric hissed. "Come on!" He grabbed Neil and Julie. The 3 of them dashed in after the yellow car. They jumped behind a low wall just as, tum! The large black gates closed. Spar's car screeched to a stop in a courtyard. A group of nins raced out to greet their master. "The princess is in the main tower," one said. Without a word, Spar stomped into the fortress. The Nin guards marched in after him. "Okay," Eric whispered. "Let's go. Shh, quietly." They slipped into the fortress. The hallways were as narrow and dark as the streets outside. Nin footsteps echoed loudly on the stone floors. Julie stopped. "Wait, do we have a plan?" Eric peered into the dark. "There are some steps ahead. If we can sneak up to the main tower, maybe we can get to Kia before Spar does." Neil nodded. "And get back out, too, right?" Of course," Eric said. "Sounds good," said Julie. "Lead on." They tiptoed up the long stairway. After what seemed like hundreds of steps, they reached the top of the main tower. At the end of a short hallway was a door. 2 big Nins in black armor guarded it. "Do we have to fight them?" Neil whispered, out of breath. Eric shook his head. "No, now we use some magic." He pulled Galen's cloak over himself. "I like it," Julie said. "Poof, you're gone." "Hide in the shadows," Eric said. Then, completely invisible, he slipped down the hall. He jabbed one of the guards in the shoulder. "Stop that!" the Nin yelled. He swatted the other Nin in the arm. "I didn't do anything," the second Nin cried. He whacked the other on his shiny black helmet. "I'll get you for that," the first Nin yelled. "Not if I get you first," the other growled, butting the first one on the head and chasing him right past the kids and down the stairs. A moment later, the hallway was clear. "Great job," Julie said as Eric pulled off the cloak and looped it around his belt. "I'll stand guard outside," Neil said. "You two go in and get the princess." Eric and Julie unbolted the door and pushed it open. They entered a small, dark room. Princess Kia was sitting on the floor. She looked up and jumped. "The boy in the woods!" Eric grinned. "We've come to rescue you." Kia smiled. "I knew someone would come." Then her smile faded. "But if we're going to get out of here at all, we need to hurry." As quickly as she had run through the forest, Kia scampered from the room and down the hallway. Eric, Julie, and Neil followed her. "Spar thinks I have the red eye of death," Kia whispered. "With it, he plans to conquer all of Droom." "And so I shall, Princess Kia." The 4 children froze in the dark hall, when out of the shadows stepped Lord Spar. Chapter 8. Prisoners. Clomp, clomp. The children were marched to a room at the top of another tower. A dozen Nin warriors in shiny black armor surrounded them. Clang! The iron door was bolted shut. They were prisoners. Lord Spar paced back and forth before a thick blue curtain that covered one of the walls. "Princess Kia," he began, "you and your friends spoiled my plans to attack Zorfendorf Castle, and Galen discovered my little raid on Jaffa City. No matter. Having you as a prisoner is far more valuable. Besides, you have something that belongs to me." The princess backed away. "Let us go, Spar. My father is on his way here right now." Spar laughed. "Neither your father nor your mother will ever see you again." "My mother died," Kia said, "and The sorcerer smirked. "Your mother is—" Then he stopped. His eyes flashed. "That leather pouch on your wrist." "What?" Kia said. Spar grabbed the pouch from Kia. "My mother gave me that," she cried, trying to take it back. But Spar held it high. His fins turned inky black. He began to shake. "Oh, Jewel, if it be you, show me now your shape so true." At once the pouch began to shrink in Spar's palm. It shriveled to the size of a small egg. Then it turned very smooth. Then it turned red. It began to glow. "No!" Kia gasped. "No, no!" Spar howled. "The red eye of dawn! You had it all along! Now I have it! The first power is mine once again!" "Give it back to her, you smelly fish head!" Eric yelled. He rushed at Spar, but one of the nins grabbed him and pushed him roughly into Julie and Neil. Then the sorcerer spoke words that made their blood turn to ice. "I know you three." "What?" Julie said. "How could you? You are from the upper world. You have found the stairs, my stairs." Spar pointed at Eric. "They are in your house." Eric shuddered. "How do you know that?" "I know many things about you," Spar said. Then he reached back and tore the blue curtain aside. "Uh-oh," Neil whispered. Behind the curtain was a tall display stand. On the stand was a round black and white object. "Our soccer ball!" Julie exclaimed. "I have learned much from this object," Spar said, hovering over the ball, "but not as much as I shall learn when I am done with you." Suddenly a voice cried shrilly from the window, "You are done right now, Spar!" Everyone turned to see a mop of orange hair scurry down the wall. "Max!" Julie cried. "The one and only!" Max jumped to the floor and quickly spun a sticky web of threads around the nin's feet. He chittered. "Guards!" Lord Spar stuttered. "Take them all to the dungeon!" His red warriors lunged at the children and tripped on Max's gooey web. "All right!" Eric cried, leaping for the soccer ball and tossing it high. "Neil, your famous bad kick, just like in my basement!" Neil grinned. "Heads up, everybody!" He jumped at the ball and kicked it hard. "Ah!" one nin groaned. "My nose!" "Serves you right!" Julie shouted. She snuck up and kicked the ball again. This time it went straight for another nin's stomach. He fell back into two others, knocking them to the floor. "Score!" Eric said, diving for the ball. "I'll get the red eye of dawn!" Kia cried. But Spar spun around and raised his fist. Kablam! A bolt of red fire shot from his hand. He staggered backward as the fire blew past Kia, punching a hole straight through the wall to the hall outside. "Ah, we'll get the eye later!" Eric shouted. "Everybody out!" He jumped through the hole in the wall with Neil and Kia. Julie and Max ran after them, and they all rushed down the hall. But the nins were right on their heels. "This way," said Eric, tumbling through a narrow door. He tossed the soccer ball to Julie and slammed the door behind them. "Uh-oh," said Neil as he looked around. Dim light from a high window showed that they were in a small room. A very small room. "Uh-oh is right," Julie said. "I think we found a dungeon all by ourselves." And that is the end of Chapter 8 of The Hidden Stairs and the Magic Carpet. Will Eric, Princess Kia, and their friends ever escape the evil Lord Spar? Will Lord Spar use the red eye to take over all of Droon? You'll have to tune in next week for the conclusion of the first book in the Secrets of Droon series. For this week's activity, I want you to think back over what happened in the last chapter when Eric and Neil and Julie used a soccer ball to help rescue Princess Kia from Lord Spar. If you were in their shoes and you were trying to rescue Princess Kia, how would you do it? Are there any objects that you have around your house that you would use to help you escape the dungeon? Figure it out and tune in next week for the conclusion of the hidden stairs and the magic carpet. Bye-bye!